And joined by Laffit Pincay from NBC Sports, covering the Kentucky Derby from soggy Churchill Downs on Saturday. Justify the winner. Good Magic, our local connection with Chad Brown, our Mechanicville trainer, in second, and Audible comes in third. It was a 7-6-5 triple, and let's welcome Laffit Pincay, and great coverage by NBC this weekend. As always, Laffit, Roger Weiland, and Chris Honorato here in Albany. Good morning.
Roger, Chris, how are you guys?
Morning, good, man. Good, very good. I was hoping for dry track conditions, didn't get them, and then when you get the rain like they had, you wonder how that's going to affect the favorite Justify, and he was able to get through the slop with no problem.
I don't know that anybody was expecting that kind of rain. The belief was earlier in the day that the serious stuff, the heavier stuff, was going to stay to the south, and it just parked itself right over Churchill and just rained harder and harder and harder. And as far as Justify handling it, it's just something else that we didn't know. It was another unknown. And for many other horses, but for this horse who was an unraced maiden, had never raced in his life until mid-February. Now we're talking about a Kentucky Derby winner, how much he's done in such a short period of time. It's unprecedented.
Was the win even more? How impressive was this win to you? I mean, I'm not surprised that Justify won. Baffert's been saying all week and for a couple of weeks how good of a 3-year-old he had here, and we've seen it not as a 2-year-old, but now as a 3-year-old. Were you even more impressed with his performance?
Nothing Baffert does with a 3-year-old ever surprises me. But from the individual, you know how good he is. You watch him train. You've watched his first 3 races. But all that's out in California in smaller fields. And this is a completely different element. It's the lack of experience. If there was anything to that 2-year-old foundation, 2-year-old experience, Curse of Apollo thing, that was going to rear its head. Like, nothing phases this horse. That's what I was impressed with. I knew he had the physical ability. I knew that pound for pound, he was probably the most talented racehorse in the field. But how would he handle everything mentally? And 150, 160,000 people, the wet racetrack, 19 other horses. There was so much being thrown at him, and he really, really made it look easy.
Laffit Pincay of NBC Sports with us here on Big Board Sports 104.5, the team, ESPN Radio. Of course, you'll see their coverage again at the Preakness and then at the Belmont. And I know Laffit always finds time to be in Saratoga over the summer as well. Laffit, speaking about the Preakness here, we know, of course, Justify will go on. But a lot of these trainers and owners choose to skip the Preakness, 1, because of the quick turnaround, 2, because if I haven't already won the Derby, not what's the point, but really how much do I want to stress my horse to turn around and go to Pimlico. Is there a way we can find a fix here to make the Preakness something more of a competitive and desirable race after the Kentucky Derby? It feels like the middle child.
It's still, but it bridges the gap from the Derby to the Belmont. If you're going to have a Triple Crown bid, it's a jewel of the Triple Crown. It's just as important. You start tinkering with it, you start messing with the timing, all of a sudden the Triple Crown doesn't quite feel the same, because one of the biggest challenges is that it's 3 races in 5 weeks for one horse. Remember Steve Coburn and his rant after California Chrome's misfire in the Belmont Stakes trying to win a Triple Crown, talking about that horses shouldn't be allowed to run in the Belmont unless they're running all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. That's just not the way this is set up. If you started spacing him out, I don't know, maybe that would make it more difficult for the Triple Crown winner, because he might face different competition in the Preakness Stakes. A big part of this is the belief of Todd Fletcher in that if he doesn't win the Derby, he's not going to the Preakness. And with the kind of volume and the kind of talent he had in his stable, that really changes dynamics moving forward into the middle jewel of the Triple Crown. But the way Justify ran, and I don't know what Chad Brown's going to do yet with Good Magic. My belief is he'll probably take the conservative approach. Again, you won't see any of the touches, I don't think, in the Preakness Stakes. I'm afraid they start tinkering with it just because I'm a bit of a traditionalist. I like it the way it is. I don't know if there's going to be anybody to take on Justify, but at the same time, Quip will be there. There's some fresh blood potentially, and Justify still has to come back. He has to turn around and do it in 2 weeks, and we'll see if he can handle that.
Because it certainly looks like right now, barring the unforeseen, Justify cruises in the Preakness, especially if Chad doesn't send his horse Good Magic.
Yeah, I don't think Bolt Duro's going. Mick Ruiz was talking about pointing towards the summer campaign in the Pacific Classic at Del Mar. None of the Fletcher horses. Todd said that he has never. On Sunday morning, they were still flushing mud out of Vino Rosso's eyes. He's never in his career, and all of the horses he's run, ever seen a horse come back with that much mud and stuff in his face. The Mendelssohn experiment, it just didn't work. He got into some traffic and bottled up early. Obviously, they're going to go home and regroup. So where's the competition going to come from? I don't know. He is going to be a heavy Preakness favorite, but it's another, again, an animal. And one of the quickest things when somebody asks me, what about Justify? He's a machine. But because he's done everything so easily, but he's an animal. And it's a quick turnaround in 2 weeks. And with Nyquist and Always Dreaming last year and Orb, as impressive as they were in the Preakness, and on paper it didn't look like the competition was as impressive as they were in the Derby, they came up empty in the Preakness. So it's not a given. It's still a horse race. And maybe some things change over the next couple of days. Maybe people realize, hey, it's not such a bad thing to run second or third in a Preakness, and maybe you get some more depth to the field.
Laffit, look, you talked about the mud in these horses' faces getting kicked up. We saw Bob Baffert watch the race from the privacy of a suite while he was actually already in poncho while he watched inside. This is a loaded question. Who is the NBC on-air personality who hates being out in the rain the most?
Wow, it's the Derby. You really don't care. You really don't care. Like a tornado can hit. It's the Derby. You understand that it's an outdoor sport, and this is what you signed up for. It's an absolute blast. Even on the walkover, people are just, you're seeing women in bare feet and guys with like destroyed suits and shoes. It's a complete craziness, but yet everybody on that track for the walkover, nobody would rather be anybody else, anywhere else in that moment.
One more for me, Laffit, and that is, I thought, Chad Brown going in felt like he had his best chance to win the Kentucky Derby. Do you think he comes out of this still feeling pretty good about Good Magic going forward?
Yes. He said after the race, we were second best, no excuses. And again, I don't know that you're going to see him rush Good Magic forward. Of course, that would make for a much better, more competitive Preakness as Good Magic was there. I just don't see it happening. We'll see. But yeah, he's thrilled. Here's a horse that breaks his maiden in a Breeders' Cup Juvenile. It's never been done in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And Chad bringing him along this year, progressing, improving, kind of a dull 3-year-old debut, the big win in the Bluegrass Stakes, and nothing wrong with running second to Justify in the Kentucky Derby. There's a Derby out there with Chad Brown's name on it. It's just a matter of time.
Laffit, great work all weekend. We always enjoy the coverage on NBC. Of course, Chris and I both work for the NBC affiliate, but you guys really, I love the horse racing coverage. I didn't see the what time did you guys come on? 2:30.
2:30.
That's a long day.
How long did you sleep yesterday, Laffit?
I don't know. I landed around 4:00 and I woke up about 5 minutes ago to talk to you two.
All right, well,
I can imagine.
We'll do it again soon. It's a quick turnaround here for the Preakness and then the Belmont. And you know how we work up here. I go, okay, when the Derby hits, I go, it's going to be Derby. It's a quick turnaround to the Preakness. It's not that far of a turnaround to get to the Belmont. And then right after the Belmont, you know what's next on our radar, and that's Saratoga.
We will see you at the Spa. Always a pleasure. Looking forward
Thanks,
to being
Laffit.
there this year.
Appreciate
Definitely for the truck drivers. Always a pleasure, guys. Thanks.
You got it,
Thanks,
man.
Laffit.